Hey, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Saturday's Rant and Rave. Today, we're going to talk about a few things. Last week we talked about a capo. Today we're going to talk about guitar picks. Now I'm going to answer a few questions on this that I wouldn't necessarily usually talk about because I feel there isn't a need, and yet I feel there is a need to discuss this. This is an Ultex Sharp. It's made by Jim Dunlop. It is a 1.4 millimeter, and I buy these in bulk of 72 at a time. It roughly cost me about 38 cents a pick. Fairly inexpensive, and yet this is what I consider to be an expensive pick. And this is what I use on electric guitars. On acoustic guitars, I use a Fender Extra Heavy 351 shape. Now in millimeters, this is a 1.14. I buy these for about $50 for 144 of them, and again, it roughly comes out to about 38 cents a pick. However, on the Dunlop, if you end up getting this size, the 1.14, you will also end up paying more like 31 cents per pick. In the past, I used to use these Dunlops here. This is a stainless steel pick, and it's the thickest they make, and it's like a 0.6 something, 6.1 maybe, I forget. At one point, somebody gave me this wood pick, and they said this pick would change my life. And they were wrong. I never use it. It sits in my pick tray, and I find it useless. However, the tone doesn't change. Nothing changes. It's just an uncomfortable pick. However, this pick is expensive. I think he said he paid $15 for this pick. There are also picks online you can find, Dawman picks. Now, Dawman makes about a $5 pick. If spending 50 cents on a pick doesn't seem right to you and you want to spend $5 on the same pick, you can buy a Dawman Jazz 3. Now, Dawman's very interesting. If you look at the artists, most of them are video bloggers. So they're basically hitting up a bunch of YouTube people who are telling you how great this pick is. And why would they do that? Well, because they're being endorsed and they're getting a kickback for sales. Now, how can you get a kickback on sales for a $5 pick? It's easy. The pick probably has $4.95 in profit. It probably costs 5 cents to manufacture. It's absolutely absurd, completely unnecessary. When you go to a music store, they have a dish where you can just pick a pick out of the thing. You could get them for free. If you have a very specific need for a heavier pick, like I said, the Ultex Sharp also comes in a 2 millimeter, so it does get thick. There are plenty of Dunlop products that work just fine. These boutique picks are absolutely asinine, and it's just complete markup and nonsense. In fact, one of the bloggers that's listed on the Dawman site constantly is buying $200 guitars to show you how great they are, but buys a $5 pick. Okay. Next is strings. People tell me all the time, oh, I've tried the Dario, and I don't think they sound as good as the Elixirs. Oh, really? What the Dario are you using? Oh, the ones my store carries, EJ16s. Okay, well, that's a phosphor bronze string. And I got $100 saying you probably use the 8020s since that's the standard string from Elixir. Elixir is not a string manufacturer. They're a chemical company. They spray the strings with a chemical. They are not into manufacturing strings. They buy strings. They make a great product. I like Elixir strings. I think they sound and play great. They're an OEM manufactured string, and the company sprays it. And I enjoy an 80-20 string. Years ago, I'm working at a store, and a guy asks me for John Pierce strings. And he says they're far better than the ones that I sell. And I was selling him EJ16s because that's what he asked for. So when he came and asked for the John Pierce, and I sold him it, and then he was like, you only have 2 sets left. I wish you had more. And I said, well, why don't you try the EJ11s? They're 80-20s. I think you're going to like it. Anyways, he came back and swore up and down that they were the same string, and I didn't argue. I don't know if they are, but it wouldn't surprise me. There are a lot of companies who are making OEM products, and OEM means original equipment manufacturing. Sometimes when you go on YouTube and someone's doing a live stream and people are talking about guitars, and I've heard this. I've heard people say, oh yeah, I think Schecter makes a great product. And then they'll disparage another brand whose guitar is actually made in the exact same factory. And I think to myself, wow, are we unaware of how this thing works? There are brands that actually manufacture their own stuff, and then there are OEM products, which makes the company really a brand, but an importer-exporter. They're not really the manufacturer. They are responsible, however, for quality control. So in most cases, they will send back and forth somebody overseas to make sure the quality control is good. Some do this better than others. Eastman is a prime example of a company that is excellent about quality control. They go overseas and they make sure that people are making the guitars the way they want them made. And I commend them for that. Now, they do ask a premium price, and it might be a little bit higher than what I think it's worth, but that's my own personal taste. Somebody else may find it to be a value, and maybe it is a value. If somebody makes an instrument that you pick up and you connect with, that's all it takes. So when somebody asks me, hey, Dave, what do you think of the SG? I never liked it. I don't like the look. I don't like the feel. I don't like the way the neck is jutted out because it's not really into the body. However, Angus Young wrote some of my favorite songs on an SG, so he connects with it. So who gives a shit what I think about it? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks about it. It doesn't even matter what Angus Young thinks about it. What do you think about it? If you love it, then I think that's awesome. Then you found yourself an instrument that you can play and that you enjoy and that inspires you to practice, maybe write, perform, whatever it is. I have a very specific need for the way a guitar should feel. Mainly it's because years of playing really thin neck shredder guitars, my hand cramps very easy. So I like the V-necks. The harsher the V-neck, the better. The fatter the neck, the better. That's what I like. So what I do is I buy used guitars, like used Mexican Strats, and I put a new neck on it. I put new pickups on it, and I make that guitar mine. I make it playable the way I want it to play, and no guitar in the world I would trade for it. I don't care about the value, the money, how much something costs. That does not matter. But for a decent price of about $1,000, I was able to put together a guitar that I'm inseparable with. And that's making music. You want to connect with the instrument? There's a lot of guys on YouTube who are just buying up gear. It's constantly like the second they buy a piece of gear, they're online looking at the next purchase. That isn't about playing guitar. That's some psychological shit you've got. Maybe it's the rosebud syndrome. Everyone's trying to find that old sled they had when they were a kid. They let go of a guitar when they were young and they never wanted to have that again, so they want to collect as much stuff as they can. You can't play it all, and if you're not playing it all, you could sell it to somebody who would enjoy it and change somebody's life. When I was working at West LA Music, there were several times when people were asking me about guitars and they were students of mine and they really couldn't afford a lot. And I went to the manufacturer and told them what was going on. And they, at a very reduced price, sold me an instrument that was far more valuable than what they were selling it to me for, so I could gift it to them and make their musical journey somewhat more acceptable. So while people on here are asking, hey, how does this guitar play or how does that guitar play? Some student is playing that guitar, loving it and cherishing it because it's their first instrument. And I'm not saying we can't call a bad instrument, but it has nothing to do with the name on the headstock. Some guitars are winners, some guitars are losers. Some people spend less than 50 cents on a pick, some people get free picks, and then some people feel the need that they have to go buy a $5 pick for the same plastic because it was cut in a boutique shop. There are lots of channels on YouTube that are very educational about strings, selecting strings, setting up the guitar, etc. Once you get past that, you really just want to spend some time playing the instrument. That's where the enjoyment is. At least it is for me. Lastly, I have a capo that I like to use. If you like one better, by all means use it. Whatever's going to make you use it and play it. Whatever picks you like, play those picks. Whatever strings you like, play those strings. But if you're spending $5 on a pick, you don't need a pick. You need help. Very good.